Mike, man, this was an interesting game at the beginning,
Hmm.
kind of close, maybe a little shaky in some areas, you might say, but overall, Ohio State comes out, they cover 38-7. The backups get to play nearly, if not all of the fourth quarter in this one. I'm happy about that. You got Devin Brown some reps. Devin Brown got a huge rep in this game. Let's just start there. Let's start there. I mean, Devin Brown with the huge rep coming in for Will Howard. I thought Will Howard was going to come back in after that
Right.
timeout. But Ryan Day left Devin Brown out there, and man, did he deliver a strike! Great block by Trevion Henderson, and a fantastic one-handed grab by Jeremiah Smith there at the end of the first half. What were your thoughts on that play, Mike?
Man, I thought it was pretty huge for Ryan Day to trust, Devin Brown, especially with Will Howard having the opportunity to go back in there, like you said, after the timeout. But, Devin Brown, we hear about, his accuracy, with the D ball leading receivers and stuff, and we got to see it put right on display. It was good to see, and just watching Jeremiah continue to make plays. And that's what, our coaches kept telling us all off season, just put the ball out there, give them an opportunity when you have these type of athletes like that. So I'm glad that Devin Brown was able to get that. Hopefully that builds some confidence, and he's able to stack on those game reps.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, even later on in the game when he was getting, I think he got a drive or two. I can't remember
Hmm.
how many, but he looked good coming in there. Looked like he was more poised. Looked like he was accurate and throwing the ball, making the good decisions. We do have to question a little bit of the decision making of one Will Howard tonight. He had the inexcusable interception. I mean, I don't know what he was seeing on that play. There were two defenders right in front of who was that? Was it Emeka Ibuka that he was throwing to? I mean, it was it was not a not a great throw at all. And then he had the dropped interception. And there was another one as well. So probably should have been three in this one. I mean, Mike, man, do you have some concerns about Will Howard? I like Will Howard. Don't get me wrong, but three should have been interceptions. Just a little concerning, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one was intercepted, but I mean, there were three other balls that definitely could have been as well. And it's concerning. And this is something that I talked about in the offseason, just, from watching film, with K State. And everybody kept, when I would bring that point up, everybody was saying, oh, he's playing with better players. He's playing with better players. These were the things that I was worried about, just being able to go through progression, seeing the whole field, and then you're coming in a conference that's known for defense. That's something that I was worried about. That I kind of want to hear. I kind of want to be that fly on the wall, like when they're going through it, and like I want to hear him talk about how he processed that, and then also how like the coaches worked him through that. I mean, hopefully he can go ahead, learn from the film and not make these mistakes again. But I mean, this is what Will Howard has been majority of his career.
For sure. And I think, there against a opponent like Michigan State, obviously the game was never really, in harm's way or a concern. So, you like that, but you just want to make sure that you don't see this kind of stuff happen in the big games. I mean, I'm sure there were some Buckeye fans going through it tonight because we just had Alabama completely blow out Georgia. I mean, I think they were up like what, 21, 28 to nothing at the end of the first quarter.
It
Like,
was
I mean,
30 to I think it was like 30-0 because they got a safety. I was
yeah.
like, what is going on?
Yeah, they look dominant. It looked like Texas versus that team up north, if you ask me. A little bit, actually, probably more dominant.
Probably worse.
Yeah, probably more dominant than that. But we could talk about that later if people want to hear our thoughts on that. I do want to bring up though, Mike, something that he didn't have the best game in the world, but I do think he probably played the best out of all the tight ends. That being G. Scott Jr. G. Scott Jr.
Mm-hmm.
coming in, making a few grabs. I felt like he blocked well tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I saw or paid attention to his blocking, seemed like he was pushing defenders, doing a good job with that. I mean, the tight ends have been a little bit of a concern here at the beginning of the season, and I'm still not completely alleviated of that concern. But are you feeling better with G. Scott's performance tonight?
Man, I love having G Scott out there. When I say I want, if we're going to throw the ball to our tight ends, right? Let it be the athletic tight end. What G Scott is supposed to be. He came in here as a wide receiver. He has those wide receiver skill sets. And then also building on that frame as a tight end. And you saw what he was able to do, stiff arm in the ground, right into the dirt. It was just nasty. Getting a pancake block. And I mean, he had, I'll just say like one, where he got the little flag or whatever. But those are things that you can go ahead and clean up. I loved his aggressiveness. I loved his playmaking ability. And I mean, if you're going to throw to the tight end, I want to see it be G. Scott or Jelani Thurman. That's, to me, like you said, G. Scott is tight end one. I've been a fan of him, and I just want to see us be able to use him to his skill set and to his strengths.
Yeah, and he should be a good receiving tight end, right? I mean, he came in as a highly touted recruit as a wide receiver, switched over to tight end, so he should have those receiving skills. He should be able to do that. But I mean, you mentioned it, Mike, aggressiveness tonight, going for it on fourth down 4 different times. Now they went 3 for 4, so they didn't get it every single time. But I mean, Ryan Day, in a game where you win this by 31 points, he's out there going for it on fourth down 4 different times. I mean, what does that say to you? To me, it looks kind of like he's like, guys, you should be getting these third down conversions. Go back out there and get it. Kind of like, hey, I'm not satisfied. Which, as we know from Ryan Day's press conference this week, he's really not satisfied with anything. But I mean, what were your thoughts on the aggressiveness going forward on fourth down 4 times tonight?
I mean, this is what we've been asking for. The fans asked for it. Everybody asked for it. Everybody said, hey, we're tired of watching Ryan Day clam up in situations. We should have the team. Again, this is an unranked game. An unranked game that we're going in. I mean, obviously, they have a whole new coaching staff. They still have to build on things. We should know our identity. We know who we are. And we should be able to go out there and play bully ball. And when we need a first down, we should have the athletes, the quarterbacks, and the O-line to be able to do it. So I love it.
I totally agree, and I like it because I know in those big games against the big opponents, there's going to be fourth downs we go for it in. I mean, there are going to be opportunities on 4th and 5, 4th and 3 where you're just going to have to get it, right? No ifs, ands, and buts about it. You go in there, you get that first down, you keep the drive alive because that's what you need. Speaking of the fourth downs, Mecca Ibuka had a fourth down, what was that, like a 20, 30-yard touchdown catch in the game. So, I mean, that was fun to see. However, Emeka did struggle a little bit, had a few drops tonight. What were your thoughts on Emeka?
Yeah, I would say, if you're talking about yards and things like that, Emeka would probably lead in this game, but I can't call him wide receiver one this game. I have to give it to Jeremiah. Emeka had, I felt, some key drops. And here's the thing I was a little bit concerned about because it was more of Emeka taking his eyes off the ball. And I felt like he was looking for the hit. And you cannot play like that. I need him to go ahead and clean that up. I know Brian Hartline's definitely going to be on him to clean that up in the film room, especially when Brian Hartline sees his head, especially on the first drop, because his head completely turned before the ball even hit his hands. That's exactly why he dropped it. So, it's easy. He's a veteran. He normally doesn't have these issues. I think it's something that he can work out. And then you saw him go ahead and finish the game strong. That's what you like to see. And then just watching the coaches have that confidence. Hey, he keeps making mistakes. But then he has a strong finish.
Yeah, he had a strong finish for sure. He was the leading receiver in this game with 96 yards. However, it was Jeremiah Smith that had the most yards because of that end around that he had. That was a 19-yard touchdown rush in this one. Jeremiah Smith ends it, his receiving and rushing together, 6 touches, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We talked about that one-handed grab. Actually, there were 2 one-handed grabs on that drive. That was fantastic. We talked about those one-handed catches, but I mean, are we ready to say Jeremiah Smith is the best receiver in the country? We know he's the best receiver on this team the way he's been playing. Are we ready to say Jeremiah Smith, best receiver in the country, or at the very least in that conversation?
I'll say this, my guy, shout out to my guy Ryan with Best Damn Media. He's been saying that since that young man signed on the dotted line. I mean, honestly, he's been saying it before he did. All off season, he's been letting everybody know people thought he was crazy. Like, calm down the hype. He's just a freshman, and he's saying, "I'm telling you, this guy is it." Like, he's, I believe even Ron. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think Ron even said he's going to be better than Marv. So, I mean, my guy Ron, shout out to him. He called it, and I was just sitting here. We've heard, we've seen the flashes of whatever they put out of Jeremiah, but just to see it in the game and then to see it in double coverage. I mean, and it wasn't like it was a easy catch. That wasn't an easy catch. They were talking about it like they're grabbing his face mask, turning his helmet, all of this stuff. And for him to do this as a freshman, it's unbelievable. LeBron James was even out there tweeting like, bro, this is insane. It was insane. It was beautiful to watch. I loved it, man. Shout out Jeremiah Smith.
I love that we got the night game stage, right? I mean, obviously you're going up against Alabama, Georgia, which that game's still going on. I don't want you to think based on what I was saying earlier. There's some people in the chat telling me that game's still going on. I get it. I'm just saying it started really, really hot. So if you're watching this live, don't think that game.
The first half was a blowout. That is factual. That is factual.
It was. But in a night game, even though it's on Peacock, this is a game where people are going to be talking, people are going to be tweeting, there's going to be a lot of conversation, and Jeremiah Smith is going to get the highlights. People are going to be seeing how great he really is, not just in the shake and bake, not just in the catches, but as an all-around player. Because what I appreciate most about JJ Smith is, man, the blocking is on point as well. Now, does he make the best blocks every single time? No, he's a freshman, but he is willing to block. He is tough as hell, and man, he is going out there and he is trying to hit dudes. He's not afraid of the contact.
Chippy. Yeah, he was out there chippy. I loved it, and shout out to that ref because the guys, they were just one handing each other and stuff like that, bruh. And shout out to that ref because I feel like other refs would have threw a flag right there or something like that. But no, they was chippy, letting them guys play primetime game, night game. Allow the chippiness. I loved it. I like that type of stuff. And it's just good to watch this freshman go out there and be confident in himself to go out there and be that way. So
yeah, and that tells me that behind closed doors, the coaches are supremely confident in him as well, and they are preaching that confidence to him, not just by what they tell him, but also the responsibility that they're giving him. I mean, he's talking about how Emeka Ibuka's kind of like been his mentor. I think a lot of guys in this team are looking up to Jeremiah Smith and what he's able to do as such a young player in the maturity that he has. That's going to speak volumes for some of these other players that aren't playing yet. It's like, oh, that's what I got to get to. I got to get to that maturity. I got to get to that kind of work ethic. I got to do all that kind of stuff, realizing that's the bar that you have to meet.